Hi, welcome to the coaching game. I am Laurie Lawson, and my guest tonight is, wow, I don't even know. I'm going to say we've been cohorts for at least 15 years, but I think longer than that. Ted Gorski. Ted, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Laurie, thanks for having me. It's great to see you again.
I can't believe what I can't believe is that I didn't ask him sooner because he keeps sending me these fantastic notices of what he's doing, and I was always impressed because Ted had where normal people will tell you, oh, here's the marketing strategy. Ted has things that are a little off the wall and that will make you stand out, and I always have remembered some of his advice. So he is the creator, founder, co-worker, no, coordinator, whatever. He created this great thing called Get Your Edge. And we're going to talk about that tonight and see how he got started and where it's going and all of that. But first, Ted, tell me, how did you, and I met you through ICF, I'm sure.
Yes.
How did you get into this business? Have you always been a coach, or did you one day say, hey, I want to coach?
No, actually, what's funny is I stumbled on it.
Me
And
too.
what happened was I worked in corporate for over 15 years, managing teams and managing managers. I was a director of, customer service. And after I left the company, was bought out by a bigger company, I went out and just did some consulting. And I was working for this company. And he asked me, the VP of that company said, "Hey, from your background, I got a young leader here. Would you be willing to mentor her?" Well, sure. I've done it. That's sure. I'd be happy to do that. And one day I was mentoring her. And one day she came in my office and she said, "Ted, I can't. I had this great phone call and great session." I said, "Well, what did you have, Karen?" She said, "Well, I had this thing called coaching." I said, "What the hell is that?" She goes, "It was fabulous." She was like 1 hour and all this. And she said, here's this woman's website. Take a look at it. So gosh darn it, after she left my office, I went on the browser and went to her website. I can't remember the coach's name, but she was out in California and she had a page that said, "What is coaching?" And I started reading it. And I said to myself, "You get paid to do this?" I said, "That's kind of what I did in the corporate world. And it's kind of the stuff I like to do." So that's kind of what started my interest into coaching and trying to find out how to be a coach.
Okay. And yeah, that's not it's unusual in the sense that you started mentoring, but I think all of us turned around one day and went, wait, we can get paid for what we've always been doing. And this is
Yeah,
called something, this is called coaching. And then of course you go out there and you tell people I'm a coach and they go, yeah, what sport? And they
it's
go, exactly.
exactly.
But now, thank heavens, but if you and I were there in the early days when it was like nobody knew what a coach was. It was like so you kind of had to explain it, sell it, and then do it. It wasn't just, okay, here, I'm a coach and come get me. That now today it is. But yeah, that I'm sure all of us turned around and went, oh, wait a minute. Or you had that little spidey sense that, you know what, there's a little bit more that I could be doing and I'm not. And so yeah. So how did Get Your Edge come about? What tell us what Get Your Edge is. I love the
Okay,
word.
let me start backwards and how it came about, and I'll tell you kind of what it is.
Okay.
What's funny is after I went through the coach training, I was still consulting for this company, and I just said, "Well, you know what? While I'm doing that, I'm going to put my little shingle on the doorway to say I'm a coach." And about 2 or 3 months later, the company decided they didn't need my consulting anymore. And then I said, "Okay, now I'm going to be a coach." And that's kind of how it started. And that was back in 2001.
Wow. Okay.
And at the time, I was like, I got to name this. I mean, I was doing this for a couple of years, and I was like, okay, I want to have a name for my coaching. I just didn't want to be like, Ted Gorski and Associates. I wanted a name. And it actually started out as Winning Edge Coaching. So my first 2 or 3 years, I was Winning Edge Coaching. And after about the fourth or fifth year, I was working with a website group and marketing group, and they said, "Well, are you open to changing the name?" I was like, Sure. I mean, if there's a name that's kind of catchy, I'll be more than happy to do that. So we were brainstorming names. And then one day at lunch, he came up and we had lunch and he says, I have a couple more names. And this first one he had was Get Your Edge. Because, everything he says, everything you do, you give people their edge. So, or you're helping people get their edge. So he goes, I like this one, Get Your Edge. And he went through the others and that still stuck with me. And I went, you know what? I kind of like that. So that's kind of how that was born. And that's kind of how it was. And it's been Get Your Edge for over 20 years now.
Wow.
What I do right now is Get Your Edge works with emerging leaders and organizations to develop their leadership skills. And a lot of the stuff I do, Lori, is a company will say to me, like starting in September this year, I'm getting one company's giving me 15 international leaders from all over the world, Sweden, Australia, Singapore, a couple here in the US. And I'm working with them to develop their leadership skills. So I do trainings, I do assessments, and then of course I'm coaching them every month. And I have them for 9 months. And usually during the program, when I'm working with these young leaders, they're getting promoted. And when they get promoted, they kind of know what they need to do to be successful. So we work on developing those leadership skills instead of doing on-the-job training and trying to figure out what a leader is. I'm working with them so immediately when they get that promotion, they have the skill sets, they have the knowledge, and they're hitting the floor running.
Wow.
And that's kind of what I'm doing with a lot of my corporate clients. I still do some coaching outside with individuals who want to develop. I call it playing a bigger game.
Mm.
They may be leaders who are saying, Ted, I feel stuck. And one of my themes is, what are you doing to play a bigger game? What are you doing to stand out from the crowd? Because Laura, there's a lot of managers and leaders out there that are just like Hertz. They're kind of blending in.
Yeah.
They're saying, well, how come I'm not being noticed? Or how come, I'm being overlooked? And my whole programs are about, no, what are you doing to stand out? What are you doing to play a bigger game? So they're always looking at you so that when that next promotion comes, you're the one that they're looking at.
That's why the name is so great, I think, because obviously, if you're in the business world, you want to get your edge, but also on a personal level, it's like, how what is your edge and how can you get it? I think we met because we were both doing a workshop for the Connecticut ICF. Was that it? And you had a great idea. You were doing speed interviews where
Yeah,
you could and I always said, God, that was so clever. It's like, what can you offer me and what can I offer you? And let's
yeah,
get it going. And so tell us a little bit about that. Are you still doing
yeah.
that?
I do it on occasion, not as much as I did, but it's kind of a version of speed dating, and that's kind of how I got it. Was, back then it was like one of these when you did speed dating, you had like 1 minute with the person to
Hmm.
kind of give and take and you kind of round robined and went around, and at the end you kind of would pick someone that you wanted to maybe learn more about. So when I started hearing about that, I'm like, it's got to be something like from networking because people hate to like walk in a room and network,
Yes.
right? It's just like, oh, it feels, slimy and sleazy. So I came up with this idea of speed networking. And basically it's the same concept as like if you had like 20 people, one row is stationary, they don't move. And then every like 2 minutes, um, the bell goes off and you kind of move down one seat. So in a matter of like 30 minutes or so, you have already met like 10 or 15 people that, you talk about what you do and what they do. And at the end of that session, then you might kind of go, oh, okay, I want to talk to Joe over there because I thought maybe there were some synergies. So then you can pick up the conversation, but at least you walked away with 10, 15, 20 conversations.
Yeah.
And I think in the one in Connecticut, I think we did it for about 30 or 40 minutes. And it just moves so quickly that you're meeting 20 new people if it's like 40 minutes. And now you walk away going, wow, I feel like I really met some people here. And of course, during that time, people exchange cards, when they're doing the speed thing. So now you're walking away with 20 cards. So yeah, I did it quite a bit, but I haven't done it a lot recently. But it's a fun way to kind of connect and meet people.
It takes the edge, no pun intended, out of networking because you're right. We all stand there going, oh God, now what am I supposed to do? And who am I supposed to do it? And here it's like, okay, we all know we're here for the same reason. And I really, I dig what you're doing. So let me give you my card. And, and if not, you still met a cool person for a minute.
Exactly.
Why not? Why not? Well, here's my impression of the edge. I've always remembered something you told me, and I don't know when you told me. I'm sure it was one of your workshops, and it was something about what can you do to stand out, and it was like, hey, everybody sends cards on Christmas, and
Yeah.
everybody sends cards on birthday. Why
Yeah.
not send it New Year's Day, or
Yeah.
why not send it Fourth of July? And I'm going,
Yeah.
that is so brilliant. Because I'm not going to get any other Fourth of July cards, but
Yeah.
I'm going to remember yours. I'm going, oh, Ted did that. And that to me is getting it's something so simple, but I didn't think of it, but you did. So give us, I
Yeah.
hate to give away your secrets. Do you have one more so I can take that through the next 10 years?
Well, this was a really good one because let me tell I still do this.
I know.
Yes, I send Christmas cards out, right?
Hmm.
But the other two that I do is Thanksgiving
Oh, yes.
and New Year's.
Hmm.
Thanksgiving goes out to say thank you for your business, thank you for your trust, thank you for being part of the Get Your Edge family. So it's a kind of the holiday of gratitude. And then of course Christmas is, the typical everyone sends it out so you blend in there.
Yeah.
But not many people send New Year's. And with New Year's, what I do is not only do I send them to, my clients, but I'll send to prospects or people
Oh,
who maybe I still have in my pipeline
yeah.
to say, hey, Happy New Year. It's another touch point to say, uh, you know, I look forward to our potential chance of working together in the coming year. So it's another touch point that I can drop my card in. And of course, my card has my logo and I'll write a personal message on it.
Always,
So
right?
all my cards go out with a personal message, even though the message is there that says, the Christmas message or the
Mhm.
or the, Thanksgiving or New Year's message, but I will handwrite something.
Yeah, yeah.
So that way it's personalized. So and the envelopes are I personally write them out. Okay. I don't try to do a lot of stickers on them. I don't like to like put, put it in Word and kind of put in all the addresses. I'll handwrite it because people enjoy opening envelopes that are handwritten.
And this is
Um,
so simple. It definitely makes you, first of all, how many people get anything in the mail anymore? It's like, and secondly, with handwriting on it, oh my gosh, this is like revolutionary.
and I'm going to give you another one. I'm digging in my
Okay.
drawer here. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, where's well, anyways, I can't, it doesn't, oh, here they are. This is something I've done over the last 4 years.
Okay.
Okay. Anytime that I have a prospect meeting or something of that nature, or finish a workshop, I send a thank you note. Now, you say, okay, well, everyone sends a thank you note, but I have what's called, I don't know if you can see this.
Oh
It's
my
a little
gosh. Yeah.
pop-up card. Whoops, the other way.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Pop-up card that says thank you.
Wow. Oh my.
Okay. And I have this little slit here that you can put a little note
Oh, I love
and
that. I
I'll
think they're
fix
called
my
love
card in
pops
there.
or something. I love those cards. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're
Oh,
so nice that people don't
yes.
toss these out. Matter of fact,
No.
when I've sent them to a prospect who've turned into a client, sometimes I'll go in their office and I'll see this like on their desk.
Oh, no kidding.
Because it's such a nice work of art, they don't
Yeah.
necessarily throw it away. Plus, with my personal note, it's there.
Wow. Yep, yep. That's what I remember about Ted. He had you always have these ideas that say, let's make it a little special. Let's see how can I get noticed and remain noticed, which is so fantastic.
It's standing out, Lori, because
Yeah,
if you and I, let's say, going after the same client, right? If we both send like the typical thank you card, we're blending in with each other,
exactly.
right? But if I kind of do a pop-up card that's different, that's what stands out in their mind.
Yes.
So it's always about, I teach my leaders how to play a bigger game. I try to do the same thing whenever I'm working with my clients and prospects. What can I do to get an extra sliver in their mind to say, I enjoy what Ted does. I want to have him come in and do this program for our company.
And subconsciously, I think it would probably be, oh, this man's got some really cool ideas.
Yeah.
I want to find out what he's doing, and I want to do it too,
I've
even though
never,
they may not realize that, but I think that's the case.
they'll say, I never got a card like this from someone. Wow, this is
Yeah,
different.
exactly, exactly. So tell me, I get notices from you, and it looks like you're having workshops or meetings. Tell me what you're doing with Get Your Edge now.
Yeah, I do. As I mentioned earlier, I do a lot of stuff with corporate, but one of the things I've been doing over the last couple of years, and you and I kind of talked before the show started about this program, it's called the Leadership Cafe.
Yeah.
Now, before I talk about what it is, let me tell you how I developed this.
Okay.
From my coaching over the years of young leaders, I would notice similar themes, conflict and influence and all that. And it was just similar. And I always said to myself, what can I do to maybe try to get these people together? And I was kind of thinking about it, and I was like just brainstorming one time. And I can't remember. I was going to get coffee. I can't remember if it was my local cafe around here. And when I got the coffee, I looked around and I saw a table and I went, oh, cafes. Cafes is always a place where you go and people like will get a coffee and bring their laptop and all that. I said, cafe. Let's call it the Leadership Cafe. So what that once I had the that name, the whole concept was that we would do sessions at 8 o'clock in the morning, group sessions, and you bring your coffee, and we do it over Zoom. So you can be in your office, bring your coffee, hence the Leadership Cafe. So what it is, it's a year program that I get 10 leaders. I max it out at 10. And every month I do a 1 hour webinar on a leadership topic. Now I have canned like 1 hour sessions, but what I do with this program is a little bit different. When we do the orientation meeting where everyone gets to meet each other over Zoom, I ask them for their top three challenges. And what I try to do is whatever one's the most popular, let's say 4 out of 10 say communication. Well, I'm going to start the first session on communication. So it's kind of tailored to the current issues that they're battling. And this way it's more customized.
What are
So,
some of the topics that you've done or that you plan on doing? Just
oh God, over the years I've done emotional intelligence,
like,
we've done communication, we've done conflict resolution,
oh, nice.
we've done how to ask better questions.
Okay.
We've done things in how to deal with change, how to influence,
Hmm.
how to manage up, um,
How
or
to
some
manage
time
up.
management.
I want to take that one. How to manage up. I like that. Yeah.
So it's tailored, and what it does is, I do give the set, and I make them walk away with what's your action from this.
Hmm.
Now, what's cool about the format is before I start the session, I'll start off with any successes that anyone has had in the last month. And it can be personal or professional, because to me, success begets success. So I want people to, hear success. And then the second bullet point we get into is what I call issues for the table, where if a leader is wrestling with something, this is their chance. We'll spend like 5 minutes and the cohort can give some feedback and some insight. And of course, I do too. And then we jump into the session.
Now you say cohort, cohort. What is that? What do you mean by that?
Cohort means a group of 10. So
Oh,
they're
okay.
10. So, after that webinar, then I do an hour coaching session with each participant in that month. And it can be anything we talked about in the webinar, or it could be something else they're dealing with, but it's a coaching session. And in the program, we also do assessments. So we do communication assessments, conflict, EI. Um, so they get a lot out of it, and it's super affordable. And I enjoy working with these leaders because they really want to learn.
Wow, it sounds jam-packed and exciting. How are you defining a leader?
A leader is someone who's responsible for a group of people, or a division or a department,
Okay.
and they have responsibilities to report to other levels.
So it doesn't have to be C-suite. It can just be
No, it doesn't have
people.
to be C-suite. Matter of fact, most of the people that are in these programs are emerging leaders.
Mm,
Some are supervisors who want to get to be managers. I have mid-managers who want
perfect.
to get to the next level. Matter of fact, the last one I just completed, I had a CEO, believe it or not, of a nonprofit here locally who wanted to really sharpen her leadership skills.
Wow.
So, and at the end, she goes, you know what? I was kind of concerned that maybe my position was, too big for this. She said, but I learned a lot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she thoroughly enjoyed it. So the whole idea here is, the theme of the program of the cafe, Lori, is playing a bigger game.
Hmm.
And anytime we get into a topic, I always throw that question out. What can you do to play a bigger game here? What can you do to stand out from the crowd? And I get them to think that because, in my career, moved up the organization very quickly because I always found a way to stand out from the crowd. And I really push the leaders to be thinking about that. Think differently, approach things differently so that you stand out.
Getting their edge. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, everyone wants that next promotion. They want to make more money. Well, that's great, but if you blend in, you won't.
Yeah, and I think everybody wants, what was it, some survey that said people don't leave their jobs because of money. They leave it because they're not recognized, because they're not
Exactly.
appreciated. And if you're blending in, it's going to get hard to recognize, So you got to do that little, what do you do do you do with any courage, prompting? I mean, because sometimes for people, if you're an introvert, it's like, oh, I don't know, I want to stand out. Do you have something that deals with that?
Yeah, usually that pops up in a coaching session where after a while, like in the webinar, I get to know these leaders pretty well.
Yeah.
And when we do the sessions, sometimes I'll say, hey, I'm sensing you want to tell me something, but you don't want to tell me. So what am I sensing here? Because this is what I'm noticing when we're in our webinars. And if you're doing that in the organization, you're blending in. So is there some fear that we need to address here? And sometimes some of them they're comfortable enough to say, here's kind of where I'm at. So that's where we can try to help them in that session to give them some action plans to move forward in that.
Now, is that would that be done on a one-on-one basis or within the cohort group or both?
It can be both if they feel comfortable enough.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll say, you know, it would be great if you mentioned this, in the
Uh,
next month's session
yeah.
in the issues. Because
Mm.
I'm pretty confident that probably other people in the cohort are feeling the same thing and you could help them.
Ah.
Now, I'd say some people go, okay. I've had others go, I'm not comfortable. Fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
Let's work on it together. So most of the time it comes up in our individual sessions and I respect them. If they don't want to share it, that's okay.
Hmm.
But a lot of times I encourage them because other ones are probably feeling the same thing.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, that's always amazing when people come up and say, something, and you go, "Oh my God, do you feel that way too?" It's like I thought I
Exactly.
was the only person in the whole world. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I'm dying to join, but let's see. What is it cyclical? Is it's once a year, you say? Do you start like at school year at September? What's the deal?
No, my goal eventually when I did this was to create one group a month so that
Oh,
when one group kind of finishes off, I'm recruiting for the next.
oh,
Right now, I just finished one group. I have two that are going right now. So I'm actively recruiting for my September group.
ah.
So, matter of fact, the email will be going out probably this week to start the September program.
Okay, and it is, are there requirements or it's at your discretion? This is gonna be beneficial for this person, or how do they get an application? Tell us how to get into this.
Basically, what they do is they go to my website, www.getyoureds.com,
Okay,
and go to the Leadership Cafe. You can send me an email and say, I'm interested.
okay.
As I mentioned, this is a very affordable. I did that specifically for individuals. I mean,
Wow.
normally something like this, I've seen some organizations charge six, 700 a month. Uh,
Yeah. Mm.
my program, I'm charging like 299 a month.
That is reasonable, very reasonable.
So that's, for a year, you're talking, 3,600. But I have some clients that pay all up front. I have others that pay, quarterly, others who pay monthly. My goal here was to keep it affordable so that I want to help people, stand out from the crowd. I want to help people achieve what they want and what they think they should achieve. And this program really helps them.
Yeah, and I think you've got to put a value on it. And it sounds like I don't think you've undervalued it, but I think you've made it so accessible, which is a problem with that there's a million programs out there that you could get into, but it sounds like you've got a little bit of everything going, assessments and coaching and group stuff and leadership. So I think it's great. I'm going to tell them we only have less than a minute left. I'm going to tell the people how to find you. First of all, it's getyouredge.com. And the gentleman to whom you would be addressing that would be Ted Gorski, Gorski. And I can only say I am dying to know what's on the future, but I'm so excited about what you're doing right now. Ted, it's so wonderful that you came on and shared this with us. I hope that somebody gets to take advantage of it. And you have slots left, right? So
I've just
good.
started recruiting, so yes, we have slots open.
Fantastic. Well, you can come back always and tell us how it's going. And I'd love to have a Ted Gorski part two. Thank you so much for being on the coaching game.
Laurie, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yes.